Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about shot number 4 in the JFK assassination. Now, as you watch my other 3 videos on the first 3 shots was taken, at this point before shot number 4 was taken, JFK was already shot twice and Governor Connally was already shot once. Now remember, when I go through this, okay, and I'm presenting the evidence, keep in mind that everything that I'm telling you is actually based on photographic evidence and by reactions of people that's in JFK's limo and the surroundings and other evidence I've collected as I analyze all the films and images. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull up this right here. Okay, on this map here, we're frame 313 when JFK's head, the fatal headshot is what we're going to talk about, the fatal headshot. Okay, we got starting point right here, and then we have the X basically marks a spot where they put it at, but actually I don't think it's in the right location as they marked it on the road on Elm Street in Dallas. But I went ahead and I lined up everything, and this is actually a location right here where frame 313 occurred in the fatal headshot. Now, what I'm going to do here is first I'm going to pull up the Mormon photo. As you see here, Mary Mormon took her image of the assassination part, I'm going to say. When she took her image, she did not know that she actually captured the 2 gunmen who was inside of shelter number 3, but we're going to talk about gunman number 1 inside of the shelter because he's the one that took the fatal headshot to JFK. As we look here, we can see him looking out the top of the window and his rifle sticking out of the window below. Okay. Now there's actually a window right here, window right here, window right here, window right here. There's 4 windows there. As you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how it is on a lot of the shit right here, because you got right here in the pergola here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. They basically have 4 windows. You got one window here, which is covered up by the tree, which we can't really see. Then we have window number 2, which we can see the top of it right here. Then window number 3, and then the top window. As you see in this window right here, window number 3, the third window from the bottom up, where the rifle is sticking out. I colorize this image so I get more details to show both gunmen inside the shelter. And as you see here, we got one window right down here, another window right here, and we see the rifle, the barrel of the rifle sticking out right here. We see his hands clenching that rifle, and we see the gunman looking out of the top window there, which is the 4th window, which is right here. Now, here's a side view from the Darnell film, okay, which shows that gunman right here behind this gunman right here. We see this gunman right here. After he took a shot, he falls back. While this gunman here came around, took his shot, but we'll talk about that when I talk about shot number 6, when he took his shot. Next one we're going to pull up is we're going to pull up frames from the Bronson film. As you see here, there's a shot being fired out of the 3rd window coming up that we can see in the Bronson film. That's coming from the window of that shelter. Here's the next frame after it, and as you see here is a puff of smoke, and we see Mr. Spruder and Miss Sesma standing right here, but we see the puff of smoke right here after he took that shot. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this image here. Okay, this is a Bessemer image. This is a close-up from the Bessemer image. As you see here, I want to point this out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 windows. As you see in the Mormon photo, the gunman was actually had his rifle sticking out this window right here, and he's looking out this window right here after he took that fatal headshot. But when JFK's limo first turned down on Elm Street, he actually was aiming, because we could see the rifle sticking out right here. He was actually aiming out of the 2nd window up, but with that street sign being there, a Stemmons Freeway sign being there, he couldn't hardly have a clear shot to JFK at this point. So he went ahead and moved up another window so he can clear a shot past the little tree that's in front, as you see in the Mormon photo, like right here. Okay, there's a tree right in front of the shelter number 3 here, so right here. So he had to move up another window so he could actually have a clear shot and nothing and distracting his view or nothing when he took a shot to JFK. Now, he wasn't supposed to take the shot. Okay, I'm going to stop right here for a minute. He really wasn't supposed to take this shot because it was either supposed to be Oswald or the second backup gunman, which is a gunman on the second floor of the county records building. They were supposed to take the fatal headshot. But what they didn't know, that's why I said there's no communication between these gunmen, because if there was communication between these gunmen, they would actually know that who took the shot, because the gunman that was inside shelter number 3 was actually a backup, the backup assassins, just in case the other shots didn't make contact. They was there to make sure that shots will be taken and make contact. Okay, JFK was shot by the second gunman in the back of the head that was on the second floor of the county records building. He was shot by him. Okay, but at this point, these gunmen are looking down and they're seeing that JFK is still sitting in the upright in the limo because of the back brace he has on and because of Mrs. Kennedy holding him up still. Now, if she wasn't holding him up and he didn't have a back brace on, JFK would have already fell down either in her lap or, over in the seat. But with them two things of him having a back brace on and her holding him in the right, upright, made it look like he was still, there, and he wasn't shot. Okay, even though he had reactions of being shot, but when you got a time frame that you're working with, and you only got a matter of seconds and stuff, you don't pay attention to that. Their reactions or nothing. You just take your shots as an assassin would do. But anyway, we know there was a gunman inside of shelter number 3, and he took the fatal headshot. That's the reason why he took the fatal headshot, because of the fact of that he seen JFK was still sitting upright in his limo. Now, after I showed you the Mormon photo that shows both gunmen, but we're talking about gunman number 1, which is the one looking outside the window of the shelter. Okay, we have the Mormon showing him with his rifle in his hand. We have the Darnell film, which shows side view for after he took that shot, he dropped down and was right behind the second gunman. Then we have the Bronson film that shows a fire being shot from that third window from the bottom up and a smoke trail. But also we see this shot as well in frame 26 of the Orville Nix film. As you see here, we got one window right behind the tree. We have the second window here, and we have the third window here, which I'll see if we can zoom in so I can show you. Well, because of this ball right here. But right here is where another shot was fired, as you see right here, because we got window number 1 down here, window number 2, and then the third window as we go up. And as you see, there is a shot being fired. And this is frame 26 of of the Orville Nix film. Now, what I did was, after I found this shot, I went ahead and lined this image up to see where this shot made contact with. And when I lined it up, it lined perfectly with frame 313 of the Zapruder film. This is based on the reactions of people in the car at this time, the people in the surroundings of the car, okay, and the people on the outskirts on the side, as you see this woman here and everything else, and the way she was motioned in that film. Frame 26 of the Orville Nix film lines up with frame 313 of the Zapruder film. So at this point, we now can see the fatal headshot being fired from shelter number 3, and we can see the bullet make contact with JFK in the right side of his temple. Now, I'm going to do a close-up now. Here's a close-up, okay, which we can actually see the top of the gunman, his hairline, the top of the gunman's head. We see the rifle right here. We see the rifle fire, sparks firing from it, and we see the smoke trail coming from it, because we can actually see the gunman, if you see right here. We can actually see the top of the forehead of the gunman. Here's his hair. And here's the rifle, because he's aiming the rifle. We could tell this because we see the right side, which I'm going to show you here in this image here. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, he have his left eye here, his right eye over here, as I point out in this image here, which will point this one back up. We'll zoom in. Here's his left eye, here's his right eye, and we can see that actually the rifle's over this way, and he's actually looking through a scope this way, so he's aiming from his right side. So see, this actually gives us information. Not only do we know the location of that gunman that was inside of shelter number 3, but we know he was shooting from his right side, because we can see the rifle fire, as you see right here. Here's rifle fire, there's a smoke, and here's the sparks coming down after the rifle is being fired. So at this point now, we have the Mary Mormon photo shows a gunman inside a shelter holding his rifle. We have the Bronson film that shows, the shot being fired from that window. We also have the Orville Nix film that shows that shot being fired from that window. And we have the Darnell film, which shows the side view, and the gunman already took a shot and he dropped down. But we also have the Dillard image for when they first turned down Elm Street. He was actually aiming his rifle out the second window up from the bottom, but then he had to move up another window so he can clear that, so he can have a clear shot at JFK if he had to take his shot and actually have a good scope on him. Now, after I pieced this all together, I had a friend that lives in Dallas went and took this image for me, and this is the image of that window. Okay, that window of the shelter where the gunman took his shot out. Now remember, when we keep this in mind, this was taken in 2012. Now remember, this tree was actually a little bit lower during 1963, and as you see here, he had one clear shot to JFK from here, and he had time frame as well. He had a lot of time to do it, which I'm going to point out here soon. But you see right here, when you take a shot from here, and it strikes JFK in the head, which way he's going to go? He's going to go to his left. Okay, he's going to his left because the impact is going to go like this, and he's going to push him to his left, right? Now, a lot of people claimed that when JFK was shot, he went back and then he went to left. They said back and to the left. This is not true, because when we watch this Zapruder film, and even when we watch other films, okay, like here's frame 312, 313, 314, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, if we watch this and we study this film and we view this film, we can see if we line up from here, we measure from here to the back of JFK. If you watch my cursor, which is over here, we measure from this point, back of JFK's seat, to the JFK's back, okay, we're going to see a distance right here. So we measure from here to here, we're going to see the same distance. Then this is the fatal headshot, frame 313 now. Now frame 314, we measure from here to here. Again, we see that same distance. Then we go into frame 315, we see that same distance. All we're seeing when we're moving this, okay, same distance from here and frame 316 to here. Now here is where Mrs. Kennedy is actually pushing JFK more to the back. By frame 317, she's pushing more to the back, which I'll go into that in shot number 5 while she was doing that. But we can see there's the same distance between the back of JFK's seat and the back of JFK. So basically, he was, as we see here, when we watch the motion, when we watch this film and we view it, he's actually not going back and to the left. He's actually being pushed off to the left. But the reason why he wasn't going fully over to the left is because, again, we got Mrs. Kennedy have one arm here, one arm right here, and she's taking an impact for him to be pushed all the way over to his left. So that's all we're going to see, the motion of his head going to the left, but she's stopping him from going over. Okay, so we're just going to see the motion of his head going left. But as people want to point out, researchers want to point out, and see, that's why I said when they make these points and they say, oh, well, JFK went back and then he went to the left. But there's no evidence to show that he actually went back and to the left. The evidence shows us that he actually went just straight to the left. Okay, as I point out here, because we could judge this and we could base this on the distance between JFK's seat and to his back. It's the same distance in all the frames if we keep on measuring it. Okay, he did not go to back and then to the left. He actually was going straight to the left. Now, when these shots occurred, what people don't understand is, which I'm going to point this up, okay, now we're going to watch the Zapruder film, and we're going to see right here is the back of JFK's seat, and we got the back of JFK. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this. Okay, this is starting with frame 310. As you see here, he's not moving nowhere. He's still in the same location. Now he was just shot in the right temple. See how he's going to his left? He's going straight to his left. He's not going back and to the left. He's going to his left, as we see here. Okay. This is frame 311, 312, 313, the fatal headshot, 314, 315, 316, 317, 318, 319, 320. So see, he's being pushed off to the left. That's all he's doing. He's not going back and to the left. He's actually going to the left. And Mrs. Kinney, which I want to show you why in shot number 5, why she was pushing him back like this, and she was going down, which I'll go into more detail on that in shot number 5. But he was actually going to his left. He was not going to his back and then to the left. He went straight to the left. Now, also want to show this as well. As you see here, this is autopsy images. We see a bullet hole here and a bullet hole here. We see one right here, and then we see a bullet hole right here on the right side of JFK's head on the inner scalp. And on the skull part, we just see this one bullet hole here and this one bullet hole here. Now remember, we're not looking at this bullet hole right now because this will be shot number 5, which I'll go into that more detail when I do shot number 5. This is shot number 4. We see a bullet hole right here. Okay. This is from shot number 2 from the gunman on the second floor of the county records building. Then we have shot number 3 that's right here. Okay, that struck JFK in the right side of the head. Now, we already know the location of the gunman. Okay, we could base this by photographic evidence that there was 2 gunmen inside shelter number 3. We can also base that the fatal headshot came from shelter number 3 because we can see this in the films and images. But there's other things I want to point out as well, just like right here. Remember, when people said there was on the overpass and there was on the bridge on the overpass, they said they seen smoke coming from the picket fence area right here. Okay, but if we look at it from this view, okay, you've got to remember there's trees here now, and there's trees all along here. Okay, and there's a fence right along here, picket fence. What's on the other side of that picket fence? The shelter number 3. So if a shot was fired here and that smoke is lingering out here, they would think it's coming from the picket fence area by this location, but actually by this location, it actually in reality came from shelter number 3. But from this view and the smoke lingering out in this location here, they would think the shot came from, the picket fence area. Just like if you see a flash coming from this location as well, you would think it's coming from the picket fence area because you got the picket fence area here, but they're not paying attention that the picket fence area is going alongside the shelter there. They're just looking at this one here, and you got trees and stuff right here, and they got trees along here. And a shot being fired from the window of the shelter would look like it actually is coming from the picket fence area from this location. But actually, when we view it from the front view and the side view and stuff, we can actually see it was actually fired from shelter number 3. Not only do we have the images that we see, but we also have eyewitness accounts too. Okay, we have the Newmans where they claim the shots came from directly behind them. We have Mr. Zapruder's first testimony, not only to this agent, Special Agent Maxwell D. Phillips. Not only did he told him, but he also told on live TV, which we can watch this, where Mr. Zapruder says the assassin was behind me. Okay, assassin was behind me. Bill Newman and his family says, and they was actually more or less in front of Mr. Zapruder, but along the grass line there, right before it goes into the sidewalk and then the street. They was there, standing there, Mr. Newman and his wife and their children was standing there, and he said the shots came from directly behind him. And when we look at this, and we start basing this, and we're going to look at what's behind, if I have it here, I'll pull this up right here. We have the Newman standing right here. We have Mr. Zapruder standing on a retaining wall right here. What's right behind him? Shelter number 3, which is right here. This is shelter number 3. This is where the shots came from. So now we not only have photographic evidence of shots being fired from behind them, but we also have eyewitness accounts and their testimonies. Now, another thing I want to point out here that a lot of people don't know, that I find it this is another flag that goes up, that when these shots occurred from behind Mr. Zapruder, and we watched the Orville Nix film, and even in a Bronson film, but I'm using the Orville Nix film because we can see more details, Mrs. Setzman, that was standing right behind Mr. Zapruder, brings up her hands and covers Mr. Zapruder's ears as the shots was ringing from behind him. Why? Okay, now, if we watch a Zapruder film, which I'm going to pull this up here, when we watch a Zapruder film, we can see exactly when them shots were fired from behind Mr. Zapruder. Not only we can tell by the reactions that we see in the Zapruder film, but actually as he filmed it. As you see, excuse me for a minute, I just need to take a drink. As you see here, here's the frame 302, 303, 304, 305, 306, 307, all the way down to frame 334. As you see, it says clear, 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 which all these frames are clear. But when the shot was fired from behind Mr. Zapruder by frame 313, it starts getting blurry. Okay, it started getting blurry. It went, the frame started going blurry from frame 314 all the way to 319, and then it starts clearing up again. And then it gets blurry again, but again, I'll go in and out. That's in shot number 6. That's the shot to Governor Connolly, which I'll go into more details on that. But what we're going to talk about is right here is shot number 4. As we watch the film, there's a lot of clear frames. But then when the shot was fired from behind Mr. Zapruder, okay, it was frame 313, all the images started getting blurry, which basically, even though his ears was covered, he could still hear a pop noise, and he's still going to jolt a little bit. When he jolted a little bit, that's when the frame started getting blurry, and then he calms down, and he starts filming again, and it clears up. This only occurs 2 times in a Zapruder film. And that was for the 4 shot and the 6 shot, which I'll go into that in shot number 6, shot number 4 here. But that the frame started getting blurry, and then it clears back up again right after that shot was taken. So at this point, not only do we have films and images that shows us that fatal headshot coming from shelter number 3, okay, and the window of the shelter number 3, there's more evidence to compel on it, just like when we look at the autopsy photos, okay. All right, we see this part here hanging down, okay. Actually, when they got done doing their autopsies and stuff on JFK, this is what was basically images taken after they'd done their autopsies and stuff. And that's why JFK's head looks like this and like this, as we see here. Now, when we watch, as you see here, when I put down, this is shot number 2 that was taken that day. And this is the first shot, the back of JFK's head. And then JFK's head here is we see part of his skull that's open up right here, as you see right here, because what they did was they brought his hairline back to show the back of his head so they can measure this hole here. And they're going to measure this hole here, but that was another shot, which I'm going to go into shot number 5 after this. And then we got the piece of skull that's right here that's hanging open. Now, why did JFK's head explode like it did? Okay. We're going to go into this right here. As you see here, we have the first shot to the back of JFK's head, which was shot number 2. That was taken from a longer distance. Okay. That shot struck JFK in the back of the head, but only entered 15 centimeters and stopped, because remember, the bullet did not exit. With this bullet entering the back of JFK's skull, it also not only entered and stopped in 15 centimeters inside of JFK's head, but also cracked the skull at the same time. Then, when shot number 4 rung out, which was the fatal headshot from the gunman side of shelter number 3, when he took a shot, and when it entered JFK's right side of his head, it made contact with that other bullet that did not exit. So shot number 2 and shot number 4 actually collided inside of JFK's head. This is why JFK's head exploded open like it did, and we see in the film. Because, again, we'll show this right here. Show this frame, this map here. As you see here, we have the fatal headshot to JFK. We have the eyewitness accounts. We got Bill Newman and his family here. We have Mr. Zapruder and him standing here. Here's where the fatal headshot occurred. And here's where the gunman went in their location. You see the shot here. Now, let's look at this. When he took the shot, he was only 71.70 feet or 22.90 yards. So when he took his shot to JFK, he was at close range. And when that bullet entered JFK's head, it made contact with the other bullet that entered JFK's head from shot number 2. And when it entered, it exploded. And that's why JFK's head opened up like we see in the Zapruder film. And this is why when they did their autopsy report and their autopsies and the reports and in documents, that all they found was bullet fragments inside of JFK's head. There's bullet fragments on the back seat where JFK was sitting. So now they're finding bullet fragments, not the complete bullets themselves, because they exploded because they both made contact with one another. Okay, there was only one bullet actually found in the car, was more pristine about this, but it was all pushed in together which I'm going to show you, and which I actually show in my book, Evidence of Conspiracy. That was a bullet that exited JFK's throat and struck the chrome of the windshield, and then that bullet fell in the front seat there. That's the only bullet they actually found inside the limo itself, but all the rest of it was bullet fragments. Same thing for JFK. When he had the fatal headshot, all they found was bullet fragments all through his head on the inside, and bullet fragments all over the back seat, because them two bullets made contact, and that's what exploded JFK's head open. And plus, this gunman being at close range, because remember, this gunman here, when he took his shot, he was over 200 and something feet away when he took that shot to the back of JFK's head. But this guy here, this gunman here, was only 71.70 feet away. So when he took his shot, and when them two bullets collide together and made contact inside JFK's skull, that's why it all opened up like we see in a Zapruder film. Okay, now a lot of people's asked me, well, how did that gunman look out that top window and stuff like that? Because it would end up being he would have been 9 or 10 feet tall. This is not true. This is how he was standing there. Like I said, I did tests on this, and they actually stand on each other's back. These are my nephews. He was standing on his back, and then he turned around and he was standing on his back, about the weight and everything else. Okay, now the gunman inside of shelter number 3, he only had to stand on his back for approximately probably about 20 seconds or under. We did tests, and they were standing on each other's back for over 5, 10, 15 minutes, you know. We was taking test images, and we're going to see if, you know, how much weight can a person take standing on someone's back or anything else, and the distance of being tall as well, okay? So he would have actually a clear view outside of the window. And the reason why that gunman was looking out the top window is after he took a shot, he looked up, and at the same time, the second gunman was coming around to take his shot to Governor Connally, which I'll go into that in shot number 6 when I get done with these other 2 videos. But anyway, at this point, we know JFK was already shot 3 times, okay? Twice in the head, once in the back. Governor Connally was already shot once. The fatal headshot actually came from inside of shelter number 3. This is not based on a story. This is not based on this or that, what other people want to say. This is based on photographic evidence, because we can see the gunman in that location with the rifle in his hand. We can see the rifle being fired from that same window. We got the view from that window, and it was a clear shot to JFK. And we see in a Zapruder film that JFK was, when he was shot in the right side of the head, he pushed off to his right, to his left. He was going to his left. And now we know how JFK's head exploded, because one gunman was closer than the other, and one bullet entered JFK in the back of the head, and that bullet stopped, and then when he took his shot, being at close range, that bullet made contact and opened up JFK's head like we see in the Zapruder film. Okay, now we're going to look at this right here. Okay, as I said, when he gets shot, JFK was shot in the right side of the head. It's going to push him off the left. As you see right here, right side, left side, it's going to push him off the left. The same thing as we see in the Zapruder film. This shot, this gunman had 14.0 seconds. That's from this point to this point here to take his aim. Well, you couldn't get a good clear shot to JFK until he got past the Stemmons freeway sign. But as you see from here, the Stemmons freeway sign, to this point here, he had a pretty well good distance, because there was hardly nobody standing here. It was like somebody standing here, somebody standing right here. The new ones were standing right here. Okay, so he could actually take his aim, and he had time. And then when he got to a certain point, that's when he took his shot. So from this point to this point was 14.06 of a second that he had time frame to take an aim to JFK and take his shots. When he took his shot, he was 71.70 feet, or 22.90 yards away. Sorry for that, because I'm trying to talk this fast and stuff like that. Sorry. But anyway, at this point, now we know where that fatal headshot came from, because we got photographic evidence to show it. We know the distance, as I point out, when it comes to making distance and time frames and stuff like that. Once you pinpoint where each shot took, and you point the and you find the location of where these shots were fired, we can get a lot more information from it. Okay, we get a lot of information from it. As you see here, we have a lot of information just out of the films and images. And as you see here, I've been talking for probably over 20, 30 minutes so far, but I can still continue on talking because I got a lot more evidence. to show on this. But as you see here, this is just on one shot. One shot. That was a fatal headshot. Okay, this is one shot. Look how much information that we get from just these films and images. We find the location of the gunman. We see the shots being fired. We see the contact where that bullet made contact with. We see everything with our own eyes, and we have eyewitness accounts to back it up. After I got done finding the shots and the gunman and everything else, this is the gunman that took the fatal headshot to JFK. As I point out in my one video, shot number 2, I said at that point, after that shot, that was actually the kill shot for JFK. That would be shot number 2. That would be actually the kill shot for JFK at that point. But people want to consider this one shot, the fatal headshot, is what really killed JFK. But actually, the fatal headshot did not come from Oswald. It did not come from the gunman on the second floor of the county records building. It did not come from the second gunman that was inside the shelter. And it did not come from the gunman on the rooftop of the county records building. There was no gunman behind the picket fence area. There was no gunman on the south side there. There was no gunman in no manhole drainage or anything like that. There was no gunman on lower level there. There was no gunman on the overpass, because we now know that the fatal headshot came from shelter number 3. And this is the gunman that took that fatal headshot to JFK. Like I said, this stuff is based on photographic evidence and eyewitness accounts and everything else. It's not based on a story. This is based on what we see, because like I point out and I show you, Orville Nix film, frame 26 of the Orville Nix film, we see the gunman. We see him with his rifle there, firing his rifle. We see sparks. We see smoke trail come from the rifle. This is seen in frame 26 of the Orville Nix film. The Bronson film shows us a shot being fired from that window right there. As you see, there's a shot being fired from that window there. We see the smoke trail from right here, from the Bronson film. See, the glow is gone now. The shot's been already taken, and there's a smoke trail. We see in his Zapruder film, JFK, when he was shot in the right side of the head, he was pushing off to his left. Not back and to left, but to his left. We see in the Darnell film, we see the side view of after the gunman took a shot, he drops down. The Bessner image, we can see him aiming his rifle out of the second window before he moved up the third window. Okay, we have, like I said, eyewitness accounts, even when we watch the films and everything else, and by the even autopsy images show that there was actually 3 bullet holes in JFK's head, 2 from the back and then 1 from the side, which the top one be shot number 5, which I'll go into that after this video here. And then, as I point out, in this Zapruder film, we can see the frames clear, and then they went blurry when the shots were being occurred from behind Mr. Zapruder. Orville Nix film also shows us that Mrs. Setzman brings up her hands and cover Mr. Zapruder's ears right before the shots start ringing out from behind them. Okay, there's a lot of information that we get now, and we have now, just like right here when I pull up this, when we make a map now. Now we know that from this point here, when JFK's limb was first seen, to this point here, okay, this gunman had 14.0 seconds to take aim to take his shot. We also know now he was 71.70 feet or 22.90 yards away from JFK when he took this shot. Okay, this is based on photographic evidence, as you see here. We have eyewitness accounts claiming the assassin was behind him, or the shots even came from behind them. Okay, the fatal headshot did not come from no fence area, no picket fence area, no south side of the knoll, no triple overpass, no shots came from there. Oswald didn't even take the fatal headshot. Okay, that's what I'm saying. When you look at this evidence and you see this with your own eyes and you look at it and you piece it all together, you're going to say, okay, now I understand. That's why a lot of people comes to me when they look at research. I understand now, just like when JFK's head exploded open, okay, someone's going to come out and say he used a firebolt rifle. That's why JFK's head exploded. No, it wasn't. Because the real fact and reality of the assassination, there was a first bullet that went in the back of JFK's head, went in 15 centimeters. This is in reports and everything else. The second shot struck JFK in the right side of the head. Then bullets made contact. And when them bullets made contact, it exploded out JFK's head. This is why they found bullet fragments only inside of JFK's head and the bullet fragments on the back of the seat. That's the only reason why they found bullet fragments. This is shot number 4. photographic evidence. I already done shot number 1, shot number 2, shot number 3. This is shot number 4. Now we know where the fatal headshot came from. We know the distance that the gunman had. We know how much time the gunman had to take his shot. Thank you. Tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget the like button. Share this video with your other friends and people on social media. Share this video so they may know. I'm going to be working on shot number 5 here after I get done with this video. Shot number 4 is going to be posted today. Shot number 5 is going to be posted tomorrow. Thank you and have a pleasant day.